to NetKno, the networking show. Now, I'm dead excited for this episode because this is one I get asked about all the time, and it's something that people are genuinely scared of, but actually it can be dead easy. So really practical on this one. This episode is all about the dreaded small talk. Dun, dun, dun. So small talk, let's be fair, we're all out of practice when it comes to this. We spend our lives talking to people through our phones, even if we're in the same house or the same room as them. And then obviously lockdown meant that we weren't just interacting with people, you know, having a bit chit chat about the weather. So we're out of practice, and small talk is a bit of a skill. And like any skill, we need to use it. It's like a muscle. If you stop using it, it dies a death. So I'm going to cover some like really quick tips on how to navigate that awkward small talk, and hopefully just make it a little bit easier for you. So the first thing, when you get into any new conversation, especially at a networking event or any kind of social environment, really, to be fair, the best thing to do is to go straight in there, be the first one, ask them, so what is it you do? Tell me about yourself. What do you do? And there's a couple of reasons you want to do that first. First and foremost, you've probably just had one of those moments where, you know, you stood on your own, you don't know who you're going to speak to next. Your adrenaline starts going. And when our adrenaline starts going, we lose all sense of time. So you probably felt like you were stood there for half an hour on your own, like a lonely loser. You weren't. It was maybe 2 minutes. But that adrenaline, it can be a bit difficult to get rid of. So it gives you, by asking them first what it is they do, gives you the chance just to chill out, relax, settle into the conversation. You're not in fight or flight mode anymore. You can just, you know, relax, settle in. We also want to know who it is that we're talking to. So you might offer a total range of products and services, and you might have different target markets for those products and services. So when we're out networking, by asking the other person first what it is they do, you know who you're in a conversation with. So it means that when it's your turn to come around and introduce yourself, you can give them the most applicable bit of information. So how you would introduce yourself to one particular client versus maybe an investor, if you're looking for investment, it's going to be very different ways that you introduce yourself, that you explain what you do. So by understanding who you're in a conversation with at the beginning, it allows you just to do that a bit better. Next, a really lovely question that I like to ask is, after you've asked them about their business, sometimes you know, depending on who you're speaking to, you may be just going to get a one-word answer. Have you ever been in a conversation where you feel like it's like trying to get blood from a stone? We've all been there. It usually comes from a place of they're as scared as you are, / if not more scared. But if you do ask them what they do and they give you a one-word answer, a nice little follow-up question to have ready is, oh, so what kind of businesses do you work with? What kind of people do you work with? That allows them to go a bit deeper and expand more on the work that they do. It also gives you a broader idea of what it is that they do on a daily basis. But this is a lovely question as well, because you want to start thinking about who you already know in your network that's going to be a good connection for them. And even better than that, there could be someone in that room at that actual event that would be a good connection for them. So asking them, because people don't often say, or come out with, oh, I'd really love to meet people that work in HR, or I'm looking to speak to manufacturers. They don't say that. They should, and you could. So asking the question of, you know, who is it that you work with, or who are you looking to work with? Who's a good connection for you? That's a nice way of start thinking of who you already know, either in your existing network or who do you know in that room that you could then introduce to that person as a way of adding value to them. Because remember, networking's all about adding value to other people. And you're also adding value to the person that you're introducing to them. So it's not just a one-way thing. Two people you can help potentially with that question. So that's a lovely one to have ready to go as a nice follow-up, especially if they don't really give you much to begin with. Another lovely question, one of my favorite questions to ask is, so how did you get into that role? And this is a great one if you meet someone that's doing something really random. So I met a guy once whose job it was to invent donuts. Who even knew that was a job? So I'm like, how is that a thing? Tell me everything. I've met magicians and hypnotists and all kinds of people networking. So if you meet someone that does something a bit weird or a bit like interesting, then obviously you're going to ask that question anyway. But even if you meet someone that does quite a normal mainstream job, like they're an accountant, and you're like, oh, right, amazing. Like, how long have you been an accountant for? Like, did you always want to be an accountant? Or, and this is a great question, because this really opens a door for people to start sharing their personal journey and a bit more about them as an individual. So this question's usually followed with, oh, well, I was studying this at uni and I fell in love, and then we ended up moving to this place and we did this and then this happened, and they take you on their journey with them, which is such a wonderful way to really get to know them as a person. And this is, again, networking. Yes, it's about, it can be about business and your work, but at the core of it, it's about the people and giving someone that little door opening to share their personal journey. It really allows you to get to know them and get an insight into who they are as an individual, which is wonderful. And it's also a great way to look for things that you might have in common with them. And when we have things in common, it's really easy to build trust, and it helps us connect as people. So they might tell you about, when they were studying at uni and what uni they went to, and you're like, oh, I went to that uni. What year did you graduate? Did you ever go to this, class or whatever? And having those things that you can find in common is just such an amazing way to build a relationship. And it's these little follow-up questions that come from just that exploration. I like to think of a question as like planting a little seed. And some seeds that you plant, they'll just like sprout a tiny little plant, and there's not really much there. But other ones, you plant the right seed, the right question with the right person, and they will just be off on a tangent, and they'll be chatting and they'll be excited, and it's trying to find that right seed for the right person. And then all these branches come off and these follow-up questions. And especially when you have things in common, that's a fantastic way to do that. Another lovely question is just simply asking people if they have any advice, like especially if you are new to the world of networking. If you are a brand new networker, tell people you're a brand new networker. Say to them, oh, do you know what? This is one of my first events. I'm a bit scared. Have you got any advice? And people will look after you. They've been there. Everyone has started out some point, and they know how scary and nerve-wracking it can be. So they will naturally just be like, oh, come with me, I'll introduce you to some people, I'll, look after you, you should try this event. And, people want to help each other. Again, when we help each other, it connects us, it binds us as people. So giving people the chance to do that by telling them, oh, I'm brand new to this, or I've just started my business, or I'm new in the world of conferences and events, whatever it is, telling people that, allowing yourself to be a little vulnerable with them, that really helps people to connect with you. And not only that, they're also going to give you loads of hopefully great advice, and asking people for their advice, whether that's on networking itself or asking advice about anything really, their area of expertise. Ask them for their opinions. People love to share their opinions. I'm a prime example of that. So ask them for their opinions, ask them for their advice. You're going to get valuable information, valuable insight. You're potentially going to meet people who could turn into like mentors. It's a great, going out networking to meet people that you can learn from regularly, absolutely invaluable. And it can help guide you on your own journey or on your own path. And that's especially applicable if you meet someone who's doing something that you aspire to do. So if you meet someone, and that could be, they work in the same sector as you, or they've started a business and you're just starting a business. Yes, absolutely. But it could also be applicable if, for example, if you're currently a student and you meet someone that's working in a particular industry or a particular job role, ask them what it's actually like. Use that, again, that research opportunity that networking is, just simply having conversations to get this information, this knowledge, these insights to validate what you think you want to do in the future, or if you think you want to work in a specific industry or a specific job role, or if you think you want to live in a city, or you want to be a freelancer. If you go networking and speak to people who are living those lives, ask as many questions as you can. And that's what all of this is about. This whole small talk thing, it's not actually about talking. It's about you asking questions and really, really listening to what these people are telling you, because listening is way harder. I am again, hands up on this one. I've had to really practice and put time into my listening skills, because I'm naturally someone who just wants to talk. I want to share, and I get excited, and I can't help it. I am one of those people who someone will start talking and my brain will go and I'll jump in, and I don't mean to, but I have to keep myself in check for that. And practicing your listening skills, networking is a great place to do that. So plant that seed, ask that question, and then just shut up. Just take it in. Remember that knowledge and information that we're getting access to through our networks is the most valuable thing you have access to. So make sure you soak it in as much as possible. And when it comes to the navigation of the small talk, you don't actually have to do any talking. So put the pressure on the other person. It takes on average 3 times of meeting someone in person for them to even remember who you are and what you do. So that first interaction that you have meeting a new person, don't feel like you've got to tell them your entire life story and they have to understand the intricacies of your business and products and services. They're not going to remember that anyway. So just use that first initial contact, that interaction, as a chance to get to know them, give them the stage to do the talking. They'll walk away having talked about themselves for 20 minutes, thinking that you are the bee's knees. They'll think you're wonderful. They won't know what you do, but that's okay. We build and nurture on that relationship as time goes on, and they'll get better at understanding that. In next time you meet them, you can tell them more about you. So when it comes to the small talk, don't do the talking. Ask the questions, do the listening, plant those seeds, and take in all that wonderful, valuable information. So that is it for this episode on small talk. Go off and have a little practice. Do this on, when you go for dinner with a friend, try it then. But yeah, just ask questions, practice your listening skills, and see what you learn. I'd love to hear from you. Let us know how it goes. And as always, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you find out when the next episode airs. And if I don't speak to you before then, I'll see you at the next one.
A Liquid Studios production.